Today, when we think of Halloween, we imagine jump scares, horror films, and elaborate haunted houses filled with fog machines and flashing lights. But a century ago, Halloween was something else entirely. It was stranger, sillier, and depending. On your taste, maybe even more fun. Back then, Halloween wasn't dominated by Hollywood monsters or store-bought candy. It was a night of community, superstition, and laughter. Families, neighborhoods, and small towns gathered not to terrify each other, but to play, to flirt, and to test their luck with old folk games. And here's the twist: many of those forgotten rituals might actually be worth reviving today. Fortune-telling games. One of the most beloved parts of old Halloween nights was fortune-telling. It wasn't about Ouija boards or sinister seances, but playful rituals meant to reveal the mysteries of love and luck. Take the apple peel toss. Girls would carefully peel an apple in one long curling strip. Then, with great anticipation, they'd toss the peel over their shoulder. However, it landed on the floor. The shape was said to reveal the first initial of their future husband's name. You can imagine the squeals of laughter when someone claimed to see a crooked or a shaky T, or consider the walnut shell races. Party hosts would hollow out walnut halves, place a tiny lit candle inside, and set them afloat in a bowl of water. Guests would watch with wide eyes as their little boats drifted and danced across the surface. If two shells bumped into each other, it meant romance. If they drifted apart, heartbreak was in the cards. And then there was the mirror game. This one was a little spookier. At midnight, with only a candle in hand, a young person might gaze into a mirror, hoping to catch a fleeting glimpse of their future spouse's face. Thrilling, romantic, and just eerie enough to send shivers down your spine. Transition. In all of these traditions, Halloween wasn't just about fright. It was a night when the veil between worlds seemed thin enough to let a little mystery slip through, especially for young hearts eager for love. Strange food rituals. Now let's talk food, because vintage Halloween tables were as peculiar as they were festive. For instance, imagine being handed a nut and raisin sandwich. Yes, really. Between wartime rationing and the lingering frugality of the Depression era, families made do with what they had. Odd little creations like these were as much about resourcefulness as taste. Then came fortune cakes. Hosts would bake small trinkets or coins into a cake, each slice containing a hidden surprise. A coin meant wealth, a ring foretold love, and a thimble suggested spinsterhood, perhaps a cruel joke, but a popular one nonetheless. Every bite carried the thrill of fate, and of course, no Halloween gathering was complete without cider and popcorn balls. These weren't just snacks, they were rituals. Children and adults rolled the sticky kernels into globes, hands coated in syrup, while warm cider flowed freely. It was messy, it was joyful, and it was togetherness in its simplest form. Odd party games, but the real fun began with the games. And if you think modern Halloween parties get wild, wait until you hear these. One crowd favorite was blindfolded. Pumpkin carving. Guests tied a cloth over their eyes and tried to cut a jack-o'-lantern face by feel alone. The results were predictably disastrous and hilarious. What emerged were pumpkins with lopsided eyes, gaping mouths, and expressions far stranger than anything you could buy at the store today. Then there was the flower mound game. Picture this: a small pile of flour with a coin balanced carefully. On top, one by one, guests took turns slicing away pieces of flour with a knife. The unlucky soul who made the coin topple had to fish it out of the flour using only their mouth. You could imagine the laughter as players emerged with flour-dusted noses and cheeks. And for quieter moments, there were shadow stories. Guests would dim the lanterns, cast hand shadows on the wall, and spin silly or spooky tailies to match the shapes. In a world without smartphones or special effects, this was as entertaining and creative as it got. Decorations and costumes, of course. No Halloween was complete without decorations and costumes. And here, too, the spirit was more whimsical than frightening. Crepe paper was king. Denison's boogie books, the Halloween catalogs of the early 20th century, sold orange and black crepe streamers, paper lanterns, and cutouts of witches, cats, and pumpkins. Homes and school halls would glow with fluttering tissue paper ghosts and smiling black cats. Costumes were often hand-sewn, pieced together from whatever was on hand. Children might dress as clowns, farmers, fairies, or animals. Adults joined in too, often with homemade masks or colorful outfits. Instead of gore and horror, the aim was delight and laughter. Every party carried that homemade charm craft, color, and community woven into every streamer and stitched seam. So what does all this tell us? Vintage Halloween wasn't about fear, it was about fun. It was about mystery, laughter, and the simple joy of being together. It was a night of apple peels and popcorn balls, of flickering walnut boats and flower-covered faces. A time when decorations were made at the kitchen table and costumes stitched with love. And maybe, just maybe, that's the kind of Halloween we could use a little more of today. Because the weirdest traditions, they're often the ones worth bringing back. After all, they didn't need neon lights or digital screens. Just paper, folklore, and a harvest moon sky.